Wow.
Is that a short?
That was a great intro.
Shortest.
Very short intro. Yes.
Did it play? I'm
it
not
played
even.
for 2
I
seconds.
played for 2 seconds.
Are we live? I think
We're live.
What? We're live. We're live. Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm obviously in the back of a van. I'm camping out in the wilds of Ontario right now, and
Okay, now go, Max.
Okay.
Now.
say that all again, Mags.
You're muted now, Mags. You're muted. Hello. Can't hear you.
Thing.
Can't hear. Start again, Mags. You were
Yeah,
muted.
no.
Now you're
Okay.
nope. Now you're unmuted. Yeah.
Now you're muted.
oh, I'm just gonna sit here and you guys just do this stuff. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Oh, okay.
That was-
Hey, everybody. It's Saturday.
Mags.
I am out in the wilds of Canada camping. Oh, and I'm so laggy. Oh my gosh. So, I really should not run anything today. So, Greg, you're in charge, or Ewan,
Oh,
you're
no.
in charge, or Betsy. One of you three guys be in charge.
Okay.
So I'm like camping. I was connected to the car and had the car running to get the computer on. But anyway, so I'm camping. Welcome to WikiTree. I'm just going to go straight into the question of the week. That way I won't talk over anybody, and I know that you'll understand me, and then I can just it's just one of those days. So I need to do stuff from my laptop, which means I need to present. It's one of those days. Share screen. Here we go. Oh, that's just taking forever. Oh my goodness. This is so bad. Here we go. Woo, doggy. Can you see it now?
Nope.
Can you see my screen?
Nope.
Okay. Greg, you're in charge. Take it. I'm just going to sit
Oh,
here
there
and
we go.
enjoy the
Now-
show.
Now it's there.
Now it's starting to load. There you
We
go.
see it.
There
Okay.
it is.
Now we can see. Thanks.
Okay. You see it? Wow. Okay. So the question of the week is, how did you catch the genealogy bug? And I don't often talk about the comment sections because we're looking for answers because we want people to upvote things. But there was a good answer here about I spent my youth attending 2 family reunions each year, one of which is still being held after 120 years. But I was a kid.
Wow.
Passage of time. When I retired, my mother turned her genealogy over to me. And I love this because we've been discussing that here. I'm at a family camp out. Our family camps out together every year. Heaven help us, but we do. But when I retired, my mother turned her genealogy over to me saying I needed it to keep my brain from atrophying. You know, people do crosswords or they work Sudoku or Sudokus or whatever to try and keep their mind sharp. Or genealogy in Kathy Lynn's family, that was what her mother said. So her mother said, you want to keep your brain sharp, you do genealogy, and said, it's your turn now that you retired. So I love that comment, which should be an answer that could be upvoted big time. That's great. And Michael Taylor also gave us a best answer to our questions of the week, which I really like this one. This was Nancy Wilson's post. And she says, I caught the genealogy bug as a part of honoring my parents after they passed. I inherited a family history book written in 1950 and a typed letter from the 1950s, both documenting different branches of my father's family. I painstakingly put them on Family Search in 2012 and then forgot about them. Then in early January 2020, I found a printed copy of my tree while cleaning out a closet and looked for what was new in online genealogy and found WikiTree. This timed with the beginning of the pandemic and got me hooked. I do at least one thing on WikiTree every day, but now I'm busier with other activities, and WikiTree helped me get through the isolation during the pandemic. So we've got 2 things there.
Nice.
The first one is we think about technology and how things have progressed in the wider world. We think about that. But think about also the fact that in the past 15, 20 years, genealogy has gone from having to be those drives, the snail mail letters sent out to people, go to the courthouse, look up these documentation, to being a very, very highly technical field. So she's acknowledging that, but she's also acknowledging that whole thing that we had to go through for a couple of years, that whole pandemic thing, and how WikiTree, people turned to WikiTree because they needed something to keep their minds fresh. So here we are, we're segueing from one person getting their genealogy bug because their mom said you need to keep your brain sharp, into another person who needed something to do to keep them from going stir crazy during the pandemic. So that's a good one. That's a good one. Let's see. I have them all bookmarked here. Let's see. This one is from DC McCown, or is it this one? This is it. Christina Adams. I had maternal line and paternal line aunts who were interested in genealogy. So lots of research done in the old way of plowing through paper records, microfiche, and talking to the older aunts. I inherited it all my grandparents and all but one grandfather were living when I was young, talking those stories, but those two things got her hooked. And then she married an Adams, and her Adams husband told her that he was related to George Washington, and how could she not do anything but start checking out those two names, Washington and Adams. And his John Adams was on the Fortune right after the Mayflower, and his Washington connection is through George's wife. So that's fun. And we're always talking about those connections on WikiTree. And here Christina is talking about having to make those connections for her husband's family. So that was a cool thing to do for her. I'm going to jump over to the next page. Rod Corkum. Let's see. Peter Rowan. Oh, this is a fun one. Peter.
You have to switch. You have to switch tabs there, Mags.
There we go. Peter Roman started with an Excel template. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it at that, and I'm gonna scroll down here and hope I don't lag so much. Look at this.
Oh my goodness! Wow. Holy spreadsheets, Batman.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, you have to really blow it up. But he says, okay, so he says that where is it? He says this. He says that he keeps it in Excel, but in MyHeritage Family Tree Builder, but the spreadsheet keeps me focused on who still needs work. Now, last week we talked about right here in the LiveCast about how Greg's fan chart, if you need to see a visual idea of who you need to work on, Greg's fan chart shows you those gaps so easily in there. And what we have lots of other tools. Betsy, I'm sure you probably have some that you could think of, where we can actually go through and help you find those gaps in your tree so that you can do some more of those little bits of work. Betsy, do you have anything off the top of your head that you can think of, people that might use a tool to find gaps where they need to do work?
Well, I'm just thinking
suggestions.
Yeah, and the connection finder, and you go through and you'll see your watch list, but with the brick wall, either pink or blue, depending on whether it's a mother or father or both that are missing. That's a first go-to.
So Rod, I have a challenge to you. And I also know that you're Corkum, that you have a name that's associated with Chris Whitten's family. So I'm assuming you have the brain. I have a challenge for you, Rod. Take a WikiTree tool that can help you identify those places where you have holes and add that to your spreadsheet, and then have your spreadsheet link directly to WikiTree to find that information for you. There's keep working on that spreadsheet. Your spreadsheet's beautiful, but see if you can incorporate some WikiTree stuff in there. I think you could. Let's see. Let's go to the next one. And this is one, whenever we've asked this question, and we ask some of these questions over and over again because there are so many great new answers every time we get it. But this is one that we get every time we ask this question is, I got interested, and this is for Pat Brunson, in tracing my family history in the 10th grade, where my class project was to trace my family tree back as far as I could. And I love the further of this is I was only able to get back 3 generations before my dad took over. But that's what started her interest. I love that. But did the dad complete the project for you?
Oh, that's right.
That's what I want to know.
Complete. Oh, I see. Complete the assignment. Yeah.
Yeah. Was it like the science fair where dad gets
That's
in
right.
and adds? Yeah. That's a great one, Pat. Let's see. I got the bug about 2.5 years ago when my
Don't forget to
grandson.
switch screens there, Megs.
Oh, I missed on the last one. There's that one again.
But you described
so
it so
I got-
well we could visualize what it said.
Oh, good. Thank you.
No problem.
I got the bug about 2.5 years ago when my grandson had to do a school report. Here we go with the school reports again. Mom had left me both sides of family documents, family paper histories that were handed out at family reunions in the 60s. We don't, at our family reunions, at this camp out and at the reunion I went to in South Carolina, the only person handing out family information was me. I'm not sure about this. Am I that aunt?
I think so.
So, yeah, go ahead, Evan.
No, I said I think you are that aunt.
Yeah.
The crazy fun aunt.
Yeah, right. So I felt my kids and grandkids deserved to know their roots with a big heart. All the family histories were in a mess. The documents were poorly written and hard to understand. All of my Uncle Charlie's research was dumped in a box. So David Draper got it and put it together. That's pretty cool. Let's skip over to the next one, and I will change this tab this time. And I like the answer to this. The answer to the one from David Draper, Marion Cerruti says, "Hello, David. I see that you were involved in much the same kind of activity that I was. Family genealogists did not keep track of sources and document them the way we do on WikiTree. This leads to puzzles that must be unraveled to find out where they obtain their information. Family pictures can be helpful. If a relative is in a picture, it is safe to assume that they were alive when the picture was taken. Moreover, your description of dumped in a box sounds all too familiar. Thank you for posting this. I can relate to that." And that's Marion Cerruti. Marion also, she gives lots of great answers and does some great posts, but that's a really interesting thing to point out, that we aren't like a lot of other genealogy sites. WikiTree, we really want to work on a healthy tree, and a healthy tree means we have sources and information and documentation to back up the information that we have. If we don't have that, we have our research notes that can show how we've gone through and tried to prove that information on a profile. So that's great. I'm going to switch over to the next one that I had up. Let's see. Figure out which one it was. I think it was this one. There we go. And we had a couple of these. We had a couple or more than one or two of these where I found my grandmother's genealogy notes stashed away in the attic of the extended family cottage, presumably left there when my grandparents moved to a retirement home. This is David Wilcox. A lot of people said they found that box of junk, just like David had, of what they thought was junk, but it was really genealogy papers. This was way before there was anything more than very bare bones internet. Certainly no genealogy helps, he had posted. Well, certainly have WikiTree now, don't we? That was all my grandfather's line. I've extended other lines of a whole branch in recent years using online sources and ran into a number of Mayflower ancestors beyond the one family my great-grandmother had found. Wouldn't it be fun to be able to show you that? That's one thing. My mother passed away in 1994, and I wish that I could show her all of the stuff that's happened with the internet and technology, especially with the genealogy stuff, because I think she had the bug as well. Let's jump on to the last one I have up. Let's see. This is a good one. In Vicky Blanco. Now, I know you can do this in Ireland as well.
I think she's in the chat. She's in the chat.
Yeah, Vicky's here.
Oh, Vicky's here.
Yeah.
Let's upvote Vicky. There, you have
Yay,
11
Vicky.
upvotes now, Vicky. She had loved this one. And I said, you could do this in Ireland as well. My family, some people in my family here have actually done this for Ireland. It began in 2017 when I found out I could get the German passport because my German great-grandfather. Then began a quest for documents, dates, and stories told about his life. And the rest is literally history. I love traveling with genealogy. Vicky Blanco, that is we were talking about that today, is that I feel like that I am more connected to the world, to people who live in other countries because of WikiTree. Absolutely agree with you, Vicky Blanco. And I think that's a great answer to the question of the week and a way to send this out and send this over to Greg.
Okay.
I'm going to be quiet because I'm so laggy. I'm going to interrupt people. So.
Okay then. Super. Well, as I'm finding my screen here, let me give a shout out to Vicky because she actually she sent me an email after watching the LiveCast last week because when we were going through the profiles, you may remember there was when Megs was doing her talking about DNA and how it was Spanish DNA in particular, and we were looking at a map with South America and how part of it was Spanish, part of it was North American or native.
The indigenous folks. We're talking about the indigenous folks.
And I just threw out the question: well, is there a word for a mix of Spanish and native or indigenous? Because in Canada we have a word for French Canadian and First Nations. We call it Métis. And there is a word, and Vicky emailed me and told me that the word is mestizos. So thank you very much for.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. That is very cool. So I appreciate that. So now we're not in Spain anymore. We're across the North Sea, across the Channel to Cambridgeshire and Huntingdonshire this week. Because we just finished the WikiTree Challenge from the Cambridgeshire and Huntingdonshire Family History Society. And so that neck of the woods is where all of the notables and the profiles are for this week. Anyone, did you want to talk about this past week's challenge now, or do you want to talk about the WikiTree Challenge later after I've gone through the profiles?
Well, that's a great question.
Or I could just go through and you can just jump in.
Yeah, I can jump in. And for this one, I would just say we did a live reveal with the society for this one. That's on YouTube. You can watch it. And it was a lot of fun. They were really excited. There's some really cool graphics from Greg that they also really liked. But it was, if you have any interest in this area or any of these people, it'll be fun to watch that video.
That's cool.
See what we did.
Yeah, it was good. It was a really good wrap up that you did there. I was watching it in between watching Sophia. So the first, if you're not familiar with England and where all the different county shires are, I jumped over to Wikipedia to find out where Cambridgeshire is. And actually, there's a blown up map of England. And so the red area is Cambridgeshire. And it's called Cambridgeshire and Huntingdonshire because they used to be two separate areas, but now they're sort of one big municipality or area. And if you're wondering where that is in relation to London, here's if you can you see my little hand cursor there? This river coming in here, that's the Thames River. So London is here. So Cambridgeshire isn't next. They're one county away from London, basically.
Okay. Can I ask an ignorant geography question?
Sure.
Is Cambridge University in Cambridgeshire?
My guess is yes.
Yeah.
Because Cambridge, I think so. Well, let's see. If we go to the next picture, that shows you the Cambridgeshire and the different components of it. So the city of Cambridge is right in Cambridgeshire. So my guess is yes.
Okay.
And there's Huntingdonshire, which is now a part of the whole thing. The Isle of Ely, city of Peterborough. We have a Peterborough here in Ontario, Canada. Probably named after this one, I'm guessing. And then there's the ones around it are Norfolk, Suffolk, Essex, Herefordshire, Central Berkshire. I've got, you know what? My mother's family. There's a lot of family here. I should have investigated more and see how I'm connected to some of these people.
Yeah.
If I hadn't been so busy last week doing a few other things, I really should have jumped in. Anyways, the first profile of the week, the big one, is Oliver Cromwell, who is apparently a distant cousin of mine. Very notable, has 13,103 connections. That's his CC7. Wow. So yeah, he's got lots. But if you, he has from a family of 9. So he's a brother. He's the 4th of 9 children, and had 9 children of his own. So it wouldn't take long continuing at that. They each had 9 children, and they had 9 children. No wonder they.
That's Betsy's closest is Oliver Cromwell.
Ah.
Oh.
At 18 degrees.
That's pretty
good. Okay. That's good. Lord Protector of the Commonwealth of England, Scotland, and Ireland. So now it's interesting. It talks about this profile. This biography focuses on his family. And for a fuller description of his military and political career, please see the Wikipedia entry, which I did actually peek a bit at that. So we could, I'd have a little bit of more history behind it. But he was the 4th of 9 children of Robert Cromwell and Elizabeth Stuart. And he's from Huntingdon, so that part of the area. Born in 1599, baptized at the Church of St. John. His grandfather had been a wealthy man, and much of the family fortune unfortunately dissipated. And his father, who was a younger son, briefly was an MP, disliked that. And by the time of Oliver's birth, he was the justice of the peace, and lived quietly on a modest income. Oliver was educated at Huntingdon Grammar School, went to Cambridge, to Sydney Sussex College, which was a Puritan establishment at that point. And then once his father died, he was called back home to look after the family. He married at age 21, and they had 9 children together. The first one was born just 1 year after they got married. They lived the life of a minor gentry in Huntingdon, and Oliver himself became a justice of the peace. And then he was elected as an MP for Huntingdon in 1628. And so initially he was a quiet backbencher with his first round of MP, but then the king decided they didn't like the parliament because they were too disruptive to what he wanted to do. So he canceled it, and 11 years without parliament. And then when parliament resumed, he returned. And this time, apparently, he was not near. He wasn't as shy. He was no longer a quiet backbencher at this point. And then the Civil War broke out. So now I'm not sure how familiar you folks are with English history and whatnot. And I did take some English history in high school myself, but I had kind of forgotten this piece that you think, at least when I usually think about England, they've had kings and queens forever, and you would think it was a straight line from William the Conqueror all the way through to the present day. But in fact, there was a point in time, they had a civil war in the 1600s, and there was a point in time when they actually executed the king, which was Charles I, and it was declared a republic. So there was a point in time when there was no king or queen, or it was not a monarchy. So which might be surprising for some people who I didn't realize that. And during that time, that's when Oliver Cromwell was the Lord Protector, which was basically he had all the powers of the king in all but name. And that was basically his claim to fame. So he was part of during the war leading up to that point. There were there was the royalists, the one who fought on behalf of the king, who wanted all the power to make decisions however he wanted, and basically believed in the divine right of kings and all that. And so this was King Charles I, who was the son of James I and grandson of Mary Queen of Scots. So that's the lineage there. And then so the royalists were on one side and the parliamentarians were on the other, and those were the ones that were called the Roundheads. So if you often hear them called Cavaliers, which would be the royalists, and the Roundheads were the parliamentarians, who ended up winning at that one point. And it was 1651 that Charles I was executed.
And that book that I talk about a lot on here, the Albion Seed,
Yes.
that is one of the four great migrations, is when all of the Cavaliers came over to Maryland, Virginia. And I'm trying to track my Galdens back to that group because they seem to have appeared right about the right time to have been a part of that migration.
Interesting.
So that's, Albion Seed there's so much cool stuff that you can connect back.
That's right.
With the history of how things happen.
Right, because Charles's father, James I, was very influential in expanding into the New World and other like he was very forward thinking in that and expanding the empire and whatnot. So
I love the fact that the whole time you've been talking, we've been staring at his death mask.
I know.
Have you really? I thought I was.
Yeah, I've been like,
I was scrolling up and down, wasn't I?
I don't see that mole on his eye in any of the paintings.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's just amazing.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I'm looking at his face.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, what if his eyes popped open?
His left.
How spooky would that
now
be?
there you go. Be like one of those statues when you're in New York City, the guys that freeze and pretend they're statues.
Anyways, moving on.
Please.
Okay, Francis Thomas Bacon, Order of the British Empire, FRE. I read what that is, and it's just escaped me at the moment, but it'll come up here in the thing. He's an English engineer. He developed the first practical hydrogen-oxygen fuel cell that was used in the Apollo Moon project. So without him, the Apollo missions wouldn't have had enough fuel, wouldn't have been able to get it into space. So that was a pretty important thing.
He's a real cousin.
He's a real cousin.
A real cousin. Yep.
Yeah. 20th cousin, 3 times removed. Yeah.
13.
Of yours?
Yep.
Cool. Direct descendant of Nicholas Bacon, and who was the brother of Francis Bacon, Sir Francis Bacon.
No, Nicholas was the father of Sir Francis Bacon.
Oh.
Nicholas was the Lord Keeper of the Seal for Queen Elizabeth I.
Oh, okay.
He may have had a brother named Nicholas, but he wasn't very famous.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay, well then I'm reading it wrong here.
Go up and see who whoa, you can't see that.
What's that?
Oh no. Okay, never mind. I'm like I'm 20 centuries before you. I'm an anachronism today. Sorry.
Oh no, that's okay. So they've included the census from 1911. He studied at Eton. Showed an aptitude for science. He won the Mosley Prize Physics. Studied mechanical sciences. Married in 1934. And his occupation was given as steam turbine engineer, research and developing work. Yeah. And his memorial bears the inscription, "Remember Francis Thomas Bacon, fellow of the Royal Society, who developed the fuel cell, which enabled the Apollo missions to reach the moon." Very nice.
Very cool.
And he was even recognized personally by President Nixon when they met. "Tom, without you, we wouldn't have gotten to the moon." So there we have. And he passed away in Cambridge, in Cambridgeshire. So there's the connection. Joanna Vasa Bromley was one of the seven chosen ones.
The chosen.
What's that?
The chosen. I was just repeating what you said.
Okay, the chosen one. So she was born in 11th of April, 1795 in Soham in Cambridgeshire. Passed away at age 61, living in London at that point. She was the only surviving child of the former slave and anti-slavery campaigner, Olada Aquino. And little is known of her life, unfortunately. But they've got a fairly good bio here. Mm-hmm. They've gleaned as much information as they can from the records that they do have. So it's the daughter of Gustavus Vasa and Susanna Cullen, born in 1795, baptized at St. Andrew's Church. Her father is noted as an African in the St. Andrew's Church records, but her mother is simply noted as Susanna, late Cullen, meaning her maiden name was Cullen, lending credibility to the claim that Joanna was at least of some Scottish descent, because they didn't specify that the mother was not otherwise. She married Henry Bromley in 1821 at St. James in Islington, England, and he was from the county of Devon. And in 1841, she was living with Henry at Mount Pleasant. She was 30 years old and a household servant. And then she was named in the 1844 will of Nathaniel Warner Bromley Esquire as the wife of his son, Henry. So that would be her father-in-law who passed away. And she was bequeathed a small sum. And buried at Abney Park Cemetery, Stoke Newington, in the London borough of Hackney, Greater London.
I like the photo that's the back wallpaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There. Yeah, that's the St. Andrew's Church. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she has 359 connections. Now, the interesting thing about this WikiTree challenge this week was almost all of them started with like just 4 connections or something like that.
Yep.
So she, hers multiplied quite a bit. And then there's some that were amazing. Now, there was one notable exception to that. One guy had a huge one to start with and then almost doubled that. But anyways, David Dunkeld, the 8th Earl of Huntingdon. So there's the connection right there, Huntingdon. It's right in the name. And in terms of earldom of Huntingdon, he was preceded by Simon III and succeeded. The person after him was John de Scotia, Earl of Huntingdon. This guy collected titles like some people collect paperback books. Earl of Huntingdon, Earl of Lennox, Earl of Kempton and Potton, Earl of Bedfordshire, Earl of Cronington, Earl of Huntingdonshire, Earl of Tottenham, Earl of Middlesex, Earl of Fotheringay, Earl of Northamptonshire.
Did he ever become the Duke of Earl?
Yeah, the Duke of Earl. Duke
of Earl. Duke.
Debeth Mac Ineric and House of Dunkeld.
I just hope that he had a stamp.
Yeah, really. You know how they, in movies, when people arrive at, the royal ball, they announce the person and their title. It would take forever. And now entering.
They just didn't invite him.
That's right. Anyways, born 1144, so this is a long time ago. Or 1152, after the death of his father. I guess they can't quite decide that. He got married in 1190 to Maud of Chester, daughter of Hugh, Earl of Chester, and Bertrade, daughter of Simon de Montfort. There's his children listed and some of the notable things. Now, the sad thing is, look at it. Died young, died as an infant. John, the 4th born, did not die young. Let's see. And he has, and some of his heirs, he was the only surviving son and heir, born about 1207. But he did die in 1237, so he was only 30 when he did pass away. So that's still, I would still say that's young. Margaret survived. Isabel married, doesn't say when she passed away, and then Maud survived. So it looks like the women survive better than the young boys.
It looks like everything's very well sourced. I'm seeing all these inlines.
Yeah.
So what did they use?
Well, it looks like they're using 222. So a bunch of them are using the same source. So let's just check. Let's just pop that down. The Royal Ancestry, a study in colonial and medieval histories, 5 volumes from Kimball and Everingham.
Nice.
Yeah. Next, we have Miles Jeffrey Game Day, DSC, and he died young as well, 21. He was another one of the 7 chosen ones. Flight Commander Miles Jeffrey Game Day, DSC. I'm not sure what the DSC is there. Probably has something to do with his war record. Was a World War I flying ace, credited with 5 aerial victories and also a war poet. He was born on the 1st of December in 1896. And he was living in St. Ives, Huntingdonshire in 1901. So there's the born in Huntingdonshire. There's the connection. Educated at Sandroyd School in Tollard, Royal Wiltshire, and Repton School in Derbyshire, where he's found in 1911 when the census was taken. And he was due to go to St. John's College when the war broke out. So he joined the Royal Naval Air Force Service and served as a flight commander. He began writing poetry during his spare time whilst in the military. I didn't know there was a lot of spare time in the military, but but I guess enough to write a little poem. Maybe that's why you write poems and not novels, right?
And no epic poems.
No epic poems. Let's whip off a limerick and then we'll be done. Or a haiku.
I take that back. In Flanders Field is an epic poem.
It is epic, isn't it? Anyways, he served as second lieutenant in the Royal Field Artillery and was shot down by a sniper on the 25th of September, 1915. His poems are published post-war. He was posted to... So when he was shot down in 1915, he wasn't killed then. He was just... he was posted to the 13th Naval Squadron in 1917. He's flying with a Sopwith Camel. That's Snoopy's plane. Right? The Sopwith Camel.
It is.
Yep.
It is.
And then he died while serving in the Royal Naval Air Force because in 27th February 1918, he was shot down in flames into the sea west of Dunkirk by a German seaplane. His body was never recovered. Very sad. But look at him, young kid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Those military photos are so often heartbreaking because they just they're teenagers.
They're just William Wade Ellis, another one of the chosen. Now he was the hardest one. He went from 4 connections to 67 connections, and his connections all stayed in the United Kingdom. There was a few connections that reached over into Europe, if I remember that map correctly. But unlike all the other ones, who eventually, by the time they got to the seventh circle, the CC7, they had relatives who had immigrated to the Americas or to Australia or New Zealand. There was a couple that made it to India, and some South Africa as well. But William Wade, we haven't found those connections yet for him.
Why is the profile photo? Yeah, tell us about the bird.
Because he was an artist and a naturalist, and he accompanied Captain James Cook and his journeys in the South Pacific, and he drew some of the pictures that Cook eventually used in his publications. So yeah, he was a surgeon. He was a surgeon's mate on the voyages for Captain James Cook, but he was also an artist.
Yeah.
He painted natural history subjects. His paintings included the Muri sandpiper, the lesser Akiolo Aloha, the Mangia.
But didn't they look for people who were artists who could do surveying, who could do that kind of stuff to populate the crews of those voyages? I think they did.
That makes sense. I haven't heard that, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
I mean, they couldn't record it with cameras or smartphones or anything like that. They have some way to record it.
Yep.
Right.
Like Lewis and Clark, one of those guys was a very good artist as well. So he could draw out and map and cartography. Right. Yep. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it makes a lot of sense, because I mean, the worst thing, coming back, you just discovered, a whole bunch of, a country that's been unseen.
It looks really cool. You should have seen them.
Cool. And all you have to do is describe it from your memory. Like, really?
Yeah, there was this bird, this dodo bird that looked really good.
You should have seen the blue on its wings. It was just, yeah, makes sense. He went to join the Queen Charlotte on the voyage to the Northwest America, but he had an accident. Oh, this is so sad. This is how he passed away. He had an accident when they were in Belgium. He fell from the mast of the ship.
Oh no!
Isn't that horrible?
Ouch!
That is.
Mm-hmm.
So now, if only he learned to fly from painting all those birds.
Yeah. Oh, bad, Greg.
No, sorry. Anyways, there's some research notes there, Mags. People are adding those research notes.
Love the research notes.
Yeah.
I love those research notes.
Yeah. Winifred Mary Harrison Fair was another one of the chosen ones. She was born in...
Betsy. Is it Betsy? No, it's you. It's you. That's your closest at 19 degrees, mister.
Ah, interesting. Okay. Well, I was wondering if it was the one back here because he's from Ely, Cambridgeshire, and that one of my great-greats is from there. And also Wisbech is another town that they're from.
Well, you have to remember, though, this is the connection finder, not the real
relationship
genealogy. So
right, yeah.
I'll check.
But anyways,
who was the guy you thought?
Oh, well, this he's the one that has the fewest connections. So, and Ellis isn't one of the names in my family tree that I know of yet. So, but
no connection, no connection that I can see.
Yeah. Oh well. Anyways, Winifred was an aviator. She was the first woman to be checked out on a hurricane fighter. So she has a really interesting history. She was one of the first 8, the initial group of women pilots to join the Air Transport Auxiliary. So do you know what the Air Transport Auxiliary was? Let me tell you. Oh. So anyway, her father was a general medical practitioner, and his claim to fame was that he was the first doctor to successfully deliver British quadruplets, so who all survived into adulthood. Because I mean, they would have been quadruplets before, but these quads lived to adulthood, and they were born in 1935, and they were still alive as of 2021.
Wow!
Isn't that amazing?
When were they born? The quads?
1935.
1935. So they would be almost 90. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Very cool, eh?
Yes.
So anyways, but she had a privileged upbringing, was educated well, and then she she became, let me just zip down to where she becomes she learns to fly. She was almost she took part in this Air Transport Auxiliary. So what this group was she basically flew planes that had been repaired or serviced back to the front lines. So she flew planes back and forth during World War II to the troops.
Important job.
Huge job, and most of the time, and a lot of times they had to do it without navigating because they didn't want the enemy to see them. So they didn't have, it was a very dangerous job. And
a lot of times they were delivering planes right off the assembly line, and they hadn't been tested yet. Yeah.
It was very very important, very wild job. Let's see where here is down the. So she started flying learning to fly in 1934. She became a pilot, aerobatics pilot in 1936. Flew in Tiger Moth. And then this is where she became part of in World War II. She joined the auxiliary to transport the planes, as I said. And their unofficial model of ATA was it was called the Air Force Transport Auxiliary, but their motto was anything to anywhere. There was no radio contact. They had their weather forecast may have been. They had to rely on ground and accurate weather forecasts. She was cautious about flying in bad weather, it says, but anyway, she was an ace about that. So that was very impressive. Anyways, cool. And she had she ended up with 1,551 connections. So that's pretty impressive. Then we have Roger Soame Jennings, I think is how you pronounced it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Jennings. And he's the one who started with he started with over 2,000, ended up with 4,227 connections. So he already had, now it was his maternal line was pretty solid. The original fan chart had his father, and that was all it had on his paternal side. But his mother's line was solid on the fan chart. But after this challenge, it's now both sides are now well fleshed out. He usually wrote under his name simply as Soame Jennings, and was a British art historian known as an expert on East Asian ceramics. So he was born in Cambridgeshire, born and died in the same town, Boddingsham, Cambridgeshire, England. And interestingly, despite the fact that he has all these connections, his profile is a little bit short.
What a cute little profile.
A cute little profile, yeah. Then we have Ernest Rutherford, Sir Ernest Baron Rutherford of Nelson, from New Zealand, born in New Zealand. So where's the connection? The connection, he's passed away in Cambridgeshire, at age 66 in 1937. So he's a physicist, father of nuclear physics. He was one of the ones I had to dress up as when I talked about the structure of the atom, because Rutherford and Bohr, they both had models of the atom. So he did lots of work on the effects of X-rays and gases, and work which led to the discovery of the electron. So before him, we didn't realize that atoms were made of neutrons, protons, and electrons. He helped out with that. He continued study on radioactivity, discovered the concept of radioactive half-life, which is very important in science, and proved that radioactivity involved the transmutation of one chemical element into another. And he was the basis for a Nobel Prize in chemistry, first Nobel Prize this round of profiles. Moved to the Victoria University of Manchester, and then during World War I, he worked on a secret project to detect submarines by sonar. That was pretty cool. Was knighted in 1914, returned to Cavendish Laboratory, and then was admitted to the Order of Merit in 1925 and became a baron in 1931.
And did you know that sonar, that little listening microphone network that they set up, were one of the key things used in the Cuban Missile Crisis, because they were monitoring the ships and the submarines that were coming in and out of Cuba. Important stuff there. Yep.
Thank you, Baron. Ernest Rutherford. Passed away in 1937 as a result of an infection from a strangulated hernia. None of that sounds good.
No, that's so sad.
Those are three yucky words all in a row. Infection, strangulation, hernia. Then we have Charles Stacey, another one of the chosen ones from the...
That's my closest.
Woohoo! How many?
18 degrees. 18.
Oh, good. And he multiplied quite well. 1,867 connections now. He was born in Huntingdonshire in Earth. In 1843, passed away at age 81 in 1924 in Norwich, Ohio. So, he was a United States Army soldier who received a Medal of Honor after fighting in the Battle of Gettysburg. So from 1843, he came over to America in time for this the Civil War. He married Lydia Sherman in 1866 in Ohio. Let me think. That's after the war, isn't it?
1866? Yes.
Yes. Now, it doesn't say here when... Okay, so in 1860, he's in Ohio because of the census. And then 1880. So it doesn't say when he came over exactly. But Medal of Honor for the Battle of Gettysburg. But born in Huntingdonshire, so that's why he qualifies. And the last one is Marjorie Stevenson, who I believe is also one of the chosen ones from the challenge. She was a British biochemist. In 1945, she was one of the first two women elected as a Fellow of the Royal Society. Daughter of Robert Stevenson, Sarah Rogers, christened in 1885 in Burwell, Cambridgeshire. And she was a lecturer in domestic science in 1911. And in biochemical research. In 1921, was the single visitor of Robert Stevenson at the Manor House. And she did not marry, had no children, and then died in 1948. So there you have it. The results from Cambridgeshire and Huntingdonshire.
A fascinating group.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
That is a very fascinating group, and not our normal group kind of thing. That's fun.
Mhm.
I wanted to say a really quick shout out for anybody that knows about Alesh and his family and where they live. We want to say we hope everything is safe at home. They've had massive flooding. Alesh and Mira and Elia are actually in Bosnia on vacation. And from what his wife has told me over the weekend is that they are in the area where the flooding has taken place, but they are safe and their home is safe. So if you had any questions about that, we want to send a big hug, a WikiTree hug and love out to Alesh and family. And we hope you're enjoying your vacation and not worrying about things at home. So good on that. I also wanted to say, Awen, did you want to share something with us today?
Did I?
Yeah.
What?
What shirt are you wearing there?
Talk about something that's coming up.
Well, yeah, we thought you'd give us a hard time about being in purple and not in orange. That was our cue.
Wiki Games.
Wiki Games.
Notice I drug my orange over.
Yeah,
that's great.
So what's going on with Wiki Games? It's coming up soon, right?
The opening ceremony is
It's coming up
Monday.
soon, right?
This Monday at 8 a.m. Eastern is the opening ceremony. And we'll kind of go over how it's all going to work and do a little teaser about the teams. And then after that, everybody will get their team assignments and their Olympian assignments and hopefully do some strategizing and collaborating with their teams. And then Friday is when the Wiki Games will start.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, June said she got her T-shirt yesterday. It's my new laggy for it to show up. So, yeah. So the Wiki Games are the next biggest thing coming up, and I just thought I'd give a segue into Miss Betsy.
Okay. Well, I've got one photo, and several ancestors to celebrate, and a tip. So actually the photo is from Vicky Blanco, who is in the chat.
Wow.
All right, Vicky.
Yeah. So this is her great grandmother.
Beautiful.
Oh, wow.
Alice, dressed for the time of her first communion.
Aww.
She was born and died in Chile, so I assume that this photo is also there. About 1910. And look at the ringlets in her hair.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And the spray of flowers in front of and behind. She's kneeling, right?
Yes, she's kneeling on a little.
Yeah. One of those little knees. Yeah.
Yep. So, thank you very much, Vicky.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then going to our ancestors. So let me come on over to Tuckett Clary. This is Teresa Willis's father, and Teresa's also in the chat.
Yes.
Welcome. So she, both her parents, Tuckett and Anne, were born in August. And what do we notice about, we don't have a birthday, but his birthday is today. Tuckett's birthday is August 19th.
Birthday.
Happy birthday, Tuckett. There's a really, Teresa writes a very charming story about how they met. They met on the school bus. And here's her mom's profile. You can't tell in the photo necessarily, but she had red hair. And Tuckett would tease her that her hair was on fire and she better lean it out the window because it was going to catch. So, it worked. They got married. And they had two daughters and 8 grandchildren and 11 greats. So, yeah, thank you very much, Teresa, for sharing. And then Victor, I think Victor is in the in the chat, right?
He is. He is.
Okay, great. I'm gonna go there and show you this photo. You're with me. Okay. So we have Victor's mother, born in August. Her father, so Victor's grandfather, was also born in August, and then his parents were married in August. So here are those great grandparents of Victor, with Paul, who's Victor's grandfather, I think, that he said he thought that was the younger one, and older brother. And I think,
cool picture.
Yeah, Victor, so much of your family history is in Illinois. Is this photo in Illinois? I think that's what I would guess. So, and let's see. Then we had M. Ross, who wanted us to celebrate a rascal in the family tree. Okay, so look carefully at this photo. It's a 4-generation photo. But what do we see off to the right?
There's someone else there.
Yes, a smaller someone else who was trying to escape from the photo. So that would be Alfred Thomas Ross, born August 1st, 1899. And then M did reply to my message and said that, let's see if I can find that there's another photo on the profile where Alfred is firmly in command of his parents. So let's see. There's that. I guess this is, that would be this one.
Uh-oh. Chris says there's a ghost in the window of that other photo.
Really? Should we look for it? Is there? You love those ghosts, Megs.
Yeah.
Go back to the other one.
Yeah. Okay. Can you?
I love the photos. Blow up.
Yeah, maybe.
Can we see a ghost in the window?
It looks like lacy curtains to me, but
I can't see a ghost in the window. But thank you, Chris. That's my favorite thing, is to find the person looking at the
right. Forget the people. What a supernatural. Okay.
Or just people trying to be photobombing.
Yeah, that's right.
So I just want to see this photo, and let's see Alfred behaving a little better. Now, is Alfred in the center or on the right? So Leonard and his wife Sarah, then Elizabeth, then Alfred, then Leonard. So I'm guessing that Alfred is the one in the center, and he looks very much on his best behavior.
Yes.
Yeah, and he's the littler of the boys. So that
right, because he's 2 years younger.
Yeah. Yep. Cool.
Makes sense.
Very, very fun. Thanks, Sam. And Pat Miller shared with us. Now let me go down in size. This is her second great grand aunt, who died in August, and Catherine, but went by Kate. And she was the daughter of a master mariner. So when it came time for her to marry, and her brother was also a sea captain. So when Katie was looking for a husband, she married a master mariner. And they married in 1846 and decided to emigrate to Australia. And Pat said that this particular ancestor was responsible for a brick wall coming on down because her baptismal record had the mother's maiden name.
Nice.
Whereas all the others, this list over here, just had Mary.
Right.
So that's a happy moment when you find
that is.
that. Yeah. And finally, Sally Kimball shared Theodore Jones with us. He's her second great-granduncle, born in August, and served in the Civil War twice, which I thought was curious. Do either of you know, any of you know why he would have served instead of one continuous service?
I don't know. I think it's just me. I think we lost Mags.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
We did. I hope she'll come back. Did we lose Ellen? It's just you and me.
It's just you and me. Yeah.
You got this, Greg.
Okay.
Okay. Well, Greg, do you know why he would?
No.
Okay, me neither.
You said served in the Civil War twice.
Right. I'm just looking at these stickers, and they're both for Pennsylvania regiments, but different numbers. 173rd and then the 208th.
Is it just maybe just two different, like he got a promotion? So one, he's a private, and then he got a promotion to a corporal?
Yeah, that's a good theory.
Because would you?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. When you serve in a war,
right.
If the war's not over, can you be discharged? Like, if you've done your tour of duty, even if the war is not done, do you go back to civilian life?
That's what I was thinking. Is that, I think, manpower in the military was probably a real high priority. So I wouldn't think that they would release him. He mustered out in August 1863, and then he re-enlisted 13 months later.
Oh, so he did.
What happened in those 13 months? I don't know.
Interesting.
Anyway, it's really amazing on these stickers how much information gets packed in.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, and let's see, the challenging thing for Sally was that there were several men named Theodore Jones in the same town. So,
I can imagine. Yes.
Yeah. And Mags, for wherever you are, here are the research notes.
Those are lots of good research notes.
I know.
Wow.
Great. So it's only August 19th. And so keep them coming. Well, we are not doing a normal live cast next Saturday, but because of the Wiki Games.
We're in the Wiki Games.
Yeah. Yes, but I'm sure we could squeeze in a few more August's ancestors when we return in September.
Oh yeah, we could do that.
Yep. So now this is Greg, I didn't warn you, but the tip is interactive.
Oh, okay.
Because we're going to talk about finding cousins and using WikiTree, all the ways that you
the ways. Okay.
So here's my dad's profile, and underneath the categories, there's this hyperlink, help cousins find this profile.
Ooh.
You click on that. There is such an amazing list of suggestions. I kind of feel like Azure's behind this.
Azure's, this sounds like Azure.
Media wizardess. And,
yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just so well designed.
Yeah.
So, like, for instance, first thing you could do, you can like on Facebook. And I was thinking, well, how to? Oh, wait! There's a link right there. I don't even have to go anywhere. I just like, and it will, connect into my Facebook. You could also download an image of the person's tree. That'll go into your computer downloads, and then you can upload that on Facebook. Worth more than a like. This first one is just, I like this profile, but this is gives more detail, and people will study it hopefully and be interested. You can now. This is a really important point to remember: is just to don't keep a profile hanging and neglect it for too long, because search engines look for pages that have been updated. So if you haven't touched in a long time, they're going to kind of trickle down in the search hits. So just see if there's anything you can add or update, even a little tweak. And there's also a link here where you can click and see what profiles you've been neglecting.
Nice.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was an option.
Yeah. So go back and see those. I was thinking, oh my goodness, if I see those profiles from my early WikiTreeing days, there might be some embarrassing formatting things. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Upload another image for the person. And keep in mind, it doesn't have to be a picture of the person. A photo is of his house, or maybe the church where he's baptized or married, a scan of a document, a census page, a bird that the person has sketched. Think big.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Because search engines know that people like web pages with images, so they get popped up in the hits. If you have mysteries with the person, write these questions on the profile in the research note.
Good.
So it's kind of like yet to be discovered. And then it gives a little example of the sorts of things that you could ask. You can, let's see, which one is this? Post a comment on the profile. Again, this is sort of similar to doing research notes, but just asking for help and saying that they can send you a private message. And then I always do this when I'm working on a profile and I'm reaching out for help, is definitely include the link for the profile. So when I'm on the profile page, I just quickly, go up to the browser bar and I grab that link and copy. You can tweet it. Again, one step.
Yeah.
And if you're on Pinterest, you can pin it. I love this page. This page is great.
Yeah.
Share on another social network. So, if you're on, I don't know what else. You could, I guess, Instagram or Mastodon or.
What's the new one that Facebook has just started?
Threads?
Threads. That's it. I'm not on Threads yet.
Me neither. Now, do you know about this, Greg? It says near the top of the profile page, you'll see a row of sharing icons. And I looked and I couldn't. Okay, this takes me back to the profile. I could not find the sharing icons. Do you see them?
The sharing icons. I thought I saw. Oh, are they those icons next to the toolkit? No.
Next to the tool.
Yeah, like those ones there. Those ones that were added by the browser.
Oh.
Is that what they mean?
Build Ancestry, family group, profile.
Oh, or maybe do they mean like the thing I use a lot is the scissors up at the top, where you can copy just the ID.
Oh, that. Yeah.
One of them is the URL, right?
Yeah.
So you use that. Now, you if you're on the homepage, you can also just go up to the location bar, the browser, but you can also do it from those scissors there, copy URL.
Oh yeah, true. But we were looking for the share. The crazy thing is I feel like I've seen this before, but now I don't see it.
Where is the share?
Azure.
Is Azure there? Next to his name. Okay, so it is the next to the name. It is the clipping, the scissors.
Oh, that. Oh, okay. So that would just copy the ID, either the ID or the URL. So I use this when I'm like doing the hyperlink with the two double square brackets and within a profile, and this when I'm like sending it out into the world. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Very cool. And I think that's almost the end of the list, but let's make sure we haven't missed anything. Say what you don't. Ask to link, pin, post a note on a co-forum. See if there's a blog or a forum for your family surname that you're interested in, and go ahead and make yourself known out there. Start a free space page. I did that for one of my Canadian McMurray series. Yeah. And I'm so glad I did that. I haven't broken the brick wall. I haven't really touched it, but the fact that it's all laid out on that free space page just makes my life easier. Because when I was connecting recently with a McMurray cousin, I was able to just send that link.
Yeah.
And here it all is. And you can ask about the person on G2G. Again, one click. And the cool thing is that once you have posted a question or comment about a profile, it will appear on their profile.
Right.
So
yes, that's cool.
Yeah. So I haven't done any posts for my dad, but it would be right like up about here. There are links saying G2G, August 19th, 2023, and the title of the post. So that someone visiting his profile can just say, oh, look, there's been some conversation about this person. Click, click, click. So.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Well, so here's my profile. And so this is the spot here that you were just talking about, the link to the G2G. Now, my links are ones that either where someone has tagged me in the, so Alesh always tags me in his posts about the Ask Alesh video every month, so that then if someone responds, I get notified. So he knows he's going to keep me on track that way. But someone responded about the XDNA tools that I just did, and someone gave me a nice little thing there. So what's happening around WikiTree? Playing the part of Mags to wrap us up. Because Mags just sent me, said that she was running out of juice and she's lagging in her van.
Do you have the social media page, or should I?
I do. I've got it right next door. Yeah. Cool. So thank you.
Yeah.
But I only have it because Azure, who's here in the chat with us, puts it together and does a great job. And this page, Eowyn does that, but she had to run and get ready for another meeting. So we missed that. I hope she was able to say announce what she was going to announce and stuff.
Well, I think we were just going to talk about the Wiki Games, and of course there's a new challenge.
Yes.
A new round, London, Middlesex. I got my London mug queued up.
Oh, good. Now, is that ongoing now or later?
I think it's going on now.
I think it started already, right?
Started on Thursday. They always go Thursday to Thursday.
That's right. Yeah, because I did the opening fan charts for that.
Yeah.
Which most of them, again, are only 4 people.
Yeah. I think it's on the calendar, actually.
I bet you if I scroll down, I would see that. There it is. August 17th to the 24th, London, Westminster, and this is why you need a calendar, to keep all these things in your head, because otherwise you lose them.
For sure.
There we go. So, yes, the WikiTree challenge is on this week for London, Westminster, and Middlesex. So that's just a little bit further south than the Cambridgeshire one that we just finished, right? Weekend chat, of course, is going on all weekend long. Last night there was Friday Night Bingo, so check it out to see the global tour and a surprise for the later one. We just finished this. There's a Saturday sourcing sprint today. 15 Nations Global Tour wrap-up for Syria is on TBA. I guess they haven't finalized. They haven't finalized the time yet, or
for the I think it's going to be Monday evening.
Yeah, because Monday morning, 8 o'clock, is the beginning of the WikiTree Games opening ceremony, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're not. It's just a big fanfare announcement of teams,
right? Yeah,
but nobody should start doing anything.
No.
The reason for doing the opening ceremonies so early is that it gives the teams a chance. The teams are randomized, remember?
Right.
So it gives them a chance to connect, bond, strategize, and be ready for Friday.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So Azure just corrected us or filled in that the Syria wrap up is 6 p.m. Eastern on Monday.
Thanks, Ez.
Thanks, Azure. And then, of course, the German Stammtisch happens on the 24th, which is a Thursday, I believe. And then the Wiki Games themselves are Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Ooh, yay!
Woo-hoo! Month-long challenges continue. The Bio Builder is about Massachusetts, Connect Canada, Project Notables, the Jedi Challenge, the German Connectors Challenge, the Integrators Challenge, the Sorcerers Challenge, and the U.S. Civil War Camp Chase Confederate Cemetery Challenge. Lots of things in that one. Very cool.
We need to add rock to that. We've been rocking away. You've
been rocking this month.
Yeah, we had a 12-hour research party on Wednesday.
Oh,
yeah, and people's CC7s have been climbing. So, and just a note, like if you're concerned, like how am I going to rock and do Wiki Games? Well, certainly on that one day where the game is connecting, just connect with your for the rock people,
right?
And so you can participate in two things at once.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was, I'm trying to find, I can't find one of our, as you mentioned, and I can't find her in the chat here, so I can't highlight it, but Crystal J was the WikiTree of the week. And she's here in the chat with us. So, way to go.
Yeah. And Crystal, you and I are pretty closely connected. I think 18 or 19. Yeah.
Very nice. Okay. And let's hop over to Az's social media calendar, I should say. So again, here are links to all of the social media sites and links that you can use and what's going on. Of course, so this is the wrap up here, the Wiki Games Hangout. And if you want to link to that on any of those social media types, there it is. There's a link to the ceremony itself, the YouTube link. So we'll click there so you can start watching us on Monday morning. The 15 Nations, there's the Syria wrap-up link. One Name Tuesday. This week it's all about Lambert. So if you want to post about that somewhere to share it with your folks, that's how you do it. The one place is La Jupa Bouillon, Martinique. The events showcase is the Wiki Games, of course, on Thursday because it starts on the Friday morning, and there we have Connection Finders, Internet Innovators. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is Robbie Robertson. We lost Robbie Robertson. That's very sad. And then, of course, there's all the links for all of the live casts, the hangouts during the games. And
come hang out with us.
Come hang out.
Yeah,
hang out with us. And thanks, Azure, for putting that all together.
Yes, it's always such a good help.
Yeah. So, and thanks for everyone here who's stuck with us live and those who are watching us after the fact for joining us today. And I think we're going to, let's see, do we have that brand new spanking new commercial?
The
one that the one that was done about WikiTree. I was thinking we could play that. But I don't see it here. Is it here?
I don't know if that's loaded up. In terms of, yeah.
Okay.
I know what you're talking about. That is great. And that's available on YouTube.
Yeah.
If anyone hasn't seen that new little 90-second or 2-minute clip all about YouTube, that is a great thing to share with everybody in your networks. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So I'm going to do the live cast regular outro, and we'll see you back. Do you have a new to WikiTree thing coming up on Sunday?
No, that's always at the beginning of the month. So not for a few more weeks.
Okay, then good. Well, hopefully we'll see you Monday morning for the
bright and early.
Bright and early.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
See ya.
Bye, everyone. Have a great week.
Have a great weekend. Great week. See you later.